afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody is awake, had a sumptuous lunch. And I want to thank the organizers for changing my time. I was supposed to talk in the morning. They were kind enough to reschedule my talk in the afternoon. So, why am I in a high technology mobile conference? Do you guys have any idea?
Because you drive an ambulance?
Okay. Now, in fact, I was speaking to a person here who's trying to develop an unmanned flying helicopter or drone. In fact, the best application on anything, any technology, I think we want to be a part of it. So I'm here to learn. I'm here to listen to a lot of things. And I think I'll be able to provide some information as well. So, a doctor, a neurologist, a person who runs few hospitals. What am I trying to do building new roads in healthcare? It's always been very, very scary. Our profession always used to be very scary. Because let's talk about technology, the way it developed. The same way, we are very scared of medical doubling time. Anybody knows what is medical doubling time? In the 19th century, we knew about few diseases and we knew few medications. Prior to that, we only knew how to treat plague. We knew how to treat fever. We had body secretions of certain animals to be taken as medicines, and that was how life was. In this present generation, medicine doubles every 73 days. If you're not updated, you have a new medicine for the same disease. You have a new symptom for the same disease. And if you're not updated, you don't exist. You become another extinct company. I'm sure what I'm going to talk today, most of you guys, while listening to me, are on the mobile phones or on the system doing multiple activities. It's become fad. It's become crazy. It's no longer your friend. It's an organ on you. The mobile devices or whatever it is, the technology is already becoming a part and it's become an organ in you. You can't exist without it. So things are getting more complicated. We have an artificial cloud, which is more important than the cloud that we used to have, which used to give rains. And mobility is everywhere. So this would be my talk today. And mobility has just turned into a necessity rather than a trend. People think that mobility is fashion. But it's not. It's just a necessity. In the modern world, if you want to survive, it's no longer the survival of the fittest. It's the survival of the people who adapt, survival of the people who learn, who don't burn their skin in the game. They don't exist anymore. It's changed society, it's changed living. You look at this, we have seen multiple companies showcasing technology which has never ever been thought about. You have people who are trying to fly, you have people who are trying to take you multiple locations. You have companies coming and telling you what needs to be your heart rate at what point of time and how do you monitor and regulate it. So it's getting crazy. Now let us hear from one of the most important people who have always been contributory to whatever he had with all the limitations that he had. He couldn't move, he couldn't speak, but he spoke because his mind was free, and that was because of the technology. So let's talk about the digital revolution in healthcare. As a doctor for me, about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, what I used to do was I used to see a patient, I used to prescribe a medicine, and I used to say thank you. That was how the communication between a doctor and a patient used to happen. But nowadays, it's only 30% of what it has done. A patient-doctor interaction is only 30%. The rest 70%, you have a lot of procedures that you need to fulfill. You need to have your electronic medical record. You need to have your prescriptive model. You need to have your diagnostic informative patterns to be given. So the long list goes on. So how did technology change us? So if you ask me why I am embracing technology is because I want a greater accuracy, I want richer data sets, I want to improve my treatment protocol compliances, I need greater flexibility with whatever I want to use in, I want to refer, I want to give advanced treatments, I want to get the patient and the caregiver engagement in a better perspective, I need to reduce my cost, and I also need to do remote and continuous monitoring. So this is why technology is very essential for a healthcare provider like me. I am sure people here, about 20 years ago, we never knew, we never thought internet is going to take us by a storm. I still remember my great-grandfather telling me, please don't spend time working on a computer with an internet. Try doing something else productive. This omen is coming back to me. Now we have bigger things than internet which are taking us over. It's the artificial intelligence, the blockchain, so where are we? I think we need to be really programmed well for the next 10 years. So this is where we are. So the internet gave us an impression of moving in a fast direction. We're still at the beginning, and the revolution that's going to happen in the healthcare industry is going to be really mind-blowing. Let's get into a few things on the strategy, the trends on global mobility. Mobile technology and data. I am sure not even a single person in this room is without a mobile phone. So the mobile penetration has become so vast. Communication and collaboration is giving us an indication of a bright future. More and more mobility departments rely on data analytics. So you have something on the fly. You need to know what is the medicine for a life-threatening complication. You have it. So technology is really taking us into a different sphere altogether. Let's look at the total population. So even if it is urbanized, 54%, 7.476 billion people, you look at the amount of mobile subscription. Any questions? So this is how infectious or malignant the impact of mobile technology is onto us. The number of subscriptions give you an idea of how things are really changing over the world. Let's look at a small country like United Arab Emirates. 24 million subscriptions. Landline, mobile, and internet. 24 million connections in 2018, and it's growing. We don't stop there. Now it's the time for 5G. We are going to get enabled on real-time video streaming, augmented reality services, safe autonomous transport. So few things are there. And everything is a challenge, but everything is a revenue stream. I mentioned this before. Mobile has become one of, it's not a best friend. It's become like an organ. It's like lungs. It's like liver. It is getting into that level. So we're taking our knowledges onto a fast and advanced level. We have online searches. We have research to do, health issues, symptoms, and health-related referrals could be done on it. So we as doctors, one of the best things that we have learned is to use a stethoscope. So a doctor used to be identified by wearing a stethoscope. I think 30% of the people, of the smartphone users, like doctors, they use health applications. So now is the era of wearable technologies. Now is the era of feature-rich smartphones that will help patients to access best advices for them, best health-allied technologies for them. I'll just give you an example. What is the mobile apps? The mobile apps, I'm sure that everybody uses mobile apps. In the healthcare sector, it incorporates a lot of perfection, accuracy, saves time. I'm going to show you a few of the applications which can enhance functionality. and it offers a wide range of services. According to IDC, on an average, and this is scary, a clinician uses about 6.4 different mobile devices in a day. In addition to the mobile that he uses, in addition to the computer that he uses, in addition to the technology geek that he uses for something to integrate. So this is where the world is moving on to. How do you build a fad-resistant mobile strategy? Everything is becoming crazy. You have your young son who's crazy on the mobile. You have your old father who's becoming more crazy than him on the mobile. So how do you create a fad-resistant mobile strategy? Especially in healthcare. I'm not going to talk about anything else. So we are going to embrace technology. We are going to embrace technology, and mobility's sake is futile and short-sighted if not used properly. So what I want to talk about is, the way in which mobility has to be structured into healthcare has to be very relevant, and there are certain fields which are going to be really beneficial in using this technology. Now, this is one video. If you have the time, I'm going to play this. I know that certain people have seen it, but have a look at it.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but I thought this is very relevant in the present structures. So coming back to our topic, the healthcare institutions, what are we supposed to have? What is a strategy for focusing on building up our infrastructure? So I think one of the 4 key areas that we need to look at is a wireless infrastructure, a mobile device management, mobile application development and management, and the support structure for all this. And this strategy calls for a strong focus on reliability, security, and flexibility. If we have these in place, I think that is where we tend to develop for the next 10 years. The world is becoming very different. Earlier, we used to believe that in the Americas, the treatment used to be much better than what you to get in this part of the world. But now everything is protocolized. The treatment in Poland is similar to the treatment that you get in Greece. The treatment that you get in Taiwan is the same thing that you get in a remote village somewhere in Africa. So what I'm trying to tell you is that world is becoming in an order, and we need to connect the dots to put the world in another order. So that is how technology should be allowed. So what is the advantage of improving technologies to have the cross-cultural awareness? Due to the advancement of the technology, we are aware of the new viral infections that comes in every time to the world, and we tend to be worried for 3 to 4 months until a vaccine is developed. So I hope you're able to understand what are the new things that are coming in, and most of the thing is to understand and rectify those issues. So I think technology is helping us to improve our lives, leverage and capture real-time information. It's also helping us to offer analytical insights and deliver services to those who are hindered by financial or physical barriers. How is this helpful in developed countries, and how is it helpful in developing countries? In developing countries, the technology holds the potential to transform population and revolutionize antiquated businesses, health and financial services, while enhancing the economies. So just to give you an example, both providers and patients require access to their data. You go from your home country to another country. If you're not able to carry your medical data with you, you're as good as you're just lost. So technology is very essential for the provider, for the patient, and at all times in clinical mobility and solutions will only make it possible. It's also driving efficiency that I said the treatments worldwide are getting unified. It's protocolized. So having said that, let's look at the opportunities, or what is the world talking about. So if you look at the worldwide public cloud service, which recently started in 2017, it was at a staggering $145.3 billion. You look at the same change in a year, it's about 175.8. And if you look further, in 2019, the approximate growth is another 17.3%. So we are heading into some sort of criticality. So people have started adopting, people have started embracing this technology. So the size and the volume that happens especially in healthcare industry, is always making us awake and looking at opportunities. So in the healthcare industry, there are 4 major digital challenges. So one of the things is the Internet of Things. If you look at here, the first slide in 2017, which was about 45 billion, in 2022 is going to be about 158 billion. You look at the mobility market. In the mobility market, 65% of all the interactions with healthcare facility will happen with mobile devices. And 80% of the doctors would use their mobile phones to start some sort of a treatment or monitoring patients. So 52% of the hospitals, they will use connected health technology. So every day, the connectivity or the interoperability of hospitals, patients, caregivers, everything is getting more and more networked. It's getting more integrated. If you look at the security side of it, 82% of the surveyed hospital, they consider their Wi-Fi network business as a very critical business. And 340% of the healthcare organization experienced more security incidents than the average industry. And if you look at it, 69% of the patients, they say that the use of wearable have a positive impact. So it's changing. Our industry is completely changing, and we have no idea, if you don't embrace, how backward are we. So in the UAE, as we speak, there is a lot of new mobility ecosystem which is expanding care. Everybody knows Dr. Google, your favorite doctor, yeah? So for each and everything you ask, people ask whether it is Dr. Google is a single person or it is Dr. Google's. So I think it's Dr. Google, right? Fine. 1 in every 20 searches in Google is about a health query. So it's such a strong platform in which the people still believe in the Internet of Things, wherein they would want to ask, how does their medical issues get sorted out? So there is an emergence of connected devices, remote treatments, robotic surgeries, autonomous medical services. Let's talk a little bit about remote treatment. You would be surprised, the maximum amount of surgeries that's happening in Africa is done from a hospital in Taiwan. So the doctor sits in Taiwan, you have a robotic arm in Africa, you have a junior doctor helping him out, and the surgeries are done from Taiwan, and it's across cross-continents that medicine is being delivered. So that is the impact of technology in healthcare delivery system. So this emergence is beginning to profoundly change the way people see medical services. Let's look at the global M-Health market revenues. You could see the staggering differences from 2013 to 2018 in net. This is how whopping this industry is. If you have the right technology which could complement, which could augment your thought processes, your healthcare delivery systems, I think there is a lot of opportunity in this. So, when does the fundamental change has to happen, and where should it happen? Let's look at both sides, the healthcare provider and the patient. So the patient always wants the health applications to support him in whatever ways and means he wants. And the provider also wants to have the digital health or things to help him in treating the patient. So there is a lot of synergy which happens. It doesn't only stop at only wearables, but it can help you in emergency care. It can help you from medical administrations to monitoring to mobility apps to, you can actually have amazing patient care services starting from your valet parking to your reception to everything could be done online. So you save a lot of time coming to a hospital in addition to getting clinical care on it. For the hospital management, there are a lot of solutions for your intensive care, such as your billing, your insurance claims process, your revenue cycle management, your electronic repository advisory. You have your discharge processes, which all can be automated, and you spend a lot of time and money employing a lot of people, which could be avoided by adapting or embracing technology. Enterprise mobility, without saying, is the crucial changes in clinical collaborations to workforce management, community engagement. This all could be thought about when you do this. Now, coming back to a nursing protocol, this is a very important slide that I thought that the nurses had come up with a working solution for community nurses was done on a survey. And they say that by using technology, they have reduced about 60% of their time which used to be spent on paperwork. They used to keep scribbling, noting down things, and so 60% of the time has been reduced, and they could increase the patient face time. Patients were very happy so that they could see the nurses, they could speak to the nurses. So 29% of increased face time, which helped them to see extra 2 patients every day. And a telehub across 210 care homes, which was a pilot study which was done, showed that there was a decrease of 35% in hospital admission, about 50% of A&D use, and about 60% of hospital bed days. So what is the significance of mobility solutions in healthcare? It can be, as I mentioned to you, it can be facilitating patient care, clinical collaborations, hospital administration, and mobility solutions. A very interesting thing what is happening, so everybody knows about cataract, right? I think a few of the people in this room, they would have been starting to develop a cataract. I think that makes it more clear. So one of the mobile applications helps in diagnosing people with cataract, and it's a very smart software. You take a picture, and the software analyzes the grade and the criteria of the cataract that is happening to the patient. So there are a few interesting more things that healthcare organizations have done. I think in the interest of time, I'm going to make it a little shorter. What is relevant for you is the wearable technologies. I mean, your electronic sensor tattoos, the smart fitness bands, your smart watches, the wearable pain relief patch, your smart socks. 2014, it showed a sales of wearable technology which increased 684% globally, and it reached about 6 billion by 2018. And surprisingly, the most important markets were Europe and Asia Pacific, which represents about 50% of the market. All what I've said is not good. We have limitations, we had problems. But what were the key factors that was restraining growth on the global healthcare mobility thing? One was the data security, the limited battery life. I mean, whatever you said, you do, whatever the biggest brands that you carry, you still have a problem with the battery. I've seen 2-3 people walking around with chargers, charging their phones when we were in the meeting rooms. And there are protocol issues and, in addition, infrastructure and maintenance cost, which will hamper the policy issues in it. So we need to address the security issues, the compliances, the risk management, and these are a few of the things which will hamper growth. I don't want this talk to be only a talk show. Let's walk the talk. So we live in a country where we don't have any more insurance cards. Are you aware that we don't have insurance cards? We don't have an insurance card which is printed, but you have an insurance card. The insurance card got substituted by the Emirates ID. So whatever the insurance card that you are on, it gets superscripted on the Emirates ID. So you don't need to carry another card from now on. So as the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, he always said that the citizens are our top priority and we have allocated the bulk of the budget to ensure the citizens' prosperity, health, education, and security. So this is one of the examples to the world on how integration of technology could happen. And you can superscribe on a card another information. So to summarize, we have reductions in operational expenses, healthcare on the go. We have real-time monitoring for patients. Elsewhere, the doctors could monitor the patient at home. Patient could monitor when he is traveling. So smooth connectivity and things would make these systems look more attractive. So I think the life of a doctor has become much more challenging but much more interesting. Rather than being on the bedside of the patient and monitoring, he have the liberty and the freedom to do beyond what he was supposed to do because of the mobility solutions that is applicable. So the participatory health, it allows consumers to catalyze the shift towards a patient-driven health system and redefine the perspective of personalized care. So I think about majority of the people who carry here, they have a wearable gadget, and this will help in utilizing information to gauge their things. So let me talk about a product which was used for quitting smoking. Do you want to know more about it, or can I skip this slide? Anybody wants to quit smoking? Somebody wants, so I think I should play it. So what happens to the influential and the innovative social movement when it has an online and a mobile technology? What we do is, so this is my Quit Buddy. I want you to try this software. So what happens is, it gives you an idea of the smoke-free time and how much of tar did you avoid and how much of dangerous chemicals and how much of money did you save to travel with your family on a vacation. I think you need to rethink about it, my friend. Yeah? No. Thank you. So what happens is, it's an advocacy tool for personal wellness, and it advances the trend towards healthy behavior change. So it's an amazing software which is doing very well, and there are a lot of people who are getting into this industry. So the medtech industry sales forecast is growing. I mean, the CAGRs of high growth, and in vitro diagnostics is one of the bigger things that's happening in this market as well. And one important thing which I want to mention to you was the 3D print living body parts. So let's talk about a bionic ear, which augments your hearing. So people who have a ear can even augment their hearing capability. So it's about augmenting human intelligence, and it's not replacing it. This is going to end my discussion here. So what I did was, we introduced a robotic pharmacy in 2013, and we're still very happy about it. 2 more minutes, yeah? So what is the biggest advantage of this was, anybody coming to my pharmacy, they never had the time to go inside the pharmacy, search for a medicine. By the time you have 4 or 5 minutes, and you only had 1 minute to speak to the patient. What we found out was, it was speed, it was safety, customer service, security, and moreover, it never took any holidays and it never became pregnant. So these are a few of the technologies that we use in our hospital to get better in our communication with patients. In adapting technology, we use a lot of technologies in our supply chain and procurement. And I think what we need to look at is, one of the biggest problems that we have is the physician burnout. You have a doctor who feeds in data to maximum of their time. 30% of their time is wasted on data entry. So with the advancement of technology, we have saved those time, and the physician is able to perform much better. We have been automating a lot of processes. This is how the mobile app of my hospital looks like, wherein people are very, very free to opt to the department or the doctor whom they want to consult. And we also do a lot of job on digital marketing. So what I want to summarize is, mobility functions will take on multiple roles to meet the needs, expectations of the changing workforce and business leaders. I think it will be anytime, it will be anywhere, and mobility would be everywhere. So in summary, this is my last slide. The total number of mobile workers worldwide would surpass 1.3 billion. 3 million mobile devices will be sold in the next 2 years, and companies are building more and more mobile applications. What are the advantages? About 240 hours per employee per year is gained through this mobile productivity thing. Investments into mobile technology is going to be booming, and it's supposed to be one of the biggest industry, and enterprise mobility is going to be as big as internet, if not. So let's embrace mobility. Let's embrace mobility for the betterment of tomorrow, for better living, and we have changed the tagline from Wings of Wellness to what we thought was, let's spread the wings of wellness through mobility. Thank you so much for your patient listening.